As a constitutional law attorney, former senior legal advisor, and personal counsel to President Donald J. Trump, Jenna Ellis believes in the rule of law and the importance of integrity in our elections. And she's ready to tackle the big cultural and legal issues facing America. This is the Jenna Ellis Show. Here is your host, Jenna Ellis.
Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of the Jenna Ellis Show. I'm Jenna Ellis, and the Bud Light backlash that has been dominating the news cycle, at least for conservatives, but I think Democrats and the liberal left are actually paying attention to this one. Well, why? Because it's actually been effective. Now, fans of this show and people who have followed me for years know that generally I'm not really usually a fan of boycotts, mainly because they're not usually effective. This one seems different. Well, why? I think it's for a couple of reasons, and primarily because all of us have to live in America, so we have to purchase corporate products and products that are from these major corporations that we really don't actually have a lot of tangible alternatives and easily accessible alternatives. So we end up having to participate in the stream of commerce. But when it comes to something like beer, we actually do have options. And it's also something that's kind of an added benefit, some would say, or an added product to their lives that they don't necessarily have to participate in. So they can easily choose some other brand, or they can choose to just skip it altogether. But this one is also very important because it's highlighted and evidenced several things. First is the main question that I have here is why would a company like Bud Light, and you can kind of guess their major clientele, their major consumers are going to be the red-blooded American patriots. I don't see, kind of a lot of Democrats other than that super, super awkwardly staged photo from Senator Ted Lieu standing around with like two other Democrats awkwardly like facing their beer cans out going, yeah, we drink Bud Light. And you can tell he's probably never held a Bud Light can in his life. So other than that, most of the people who drink Bud Light, I would think, are, these really red-blooded Americans that still, go to events like tailgating, sports games, and some of these things that generally they're going to be God and country patriots. So why on earth would Anheuser-Busch, the parent company of Bud Light, say, oh yeah, we think it's a really great idea to put a man who is in performative costume as a little girl onto a Bud Light can and think that's going to be okay with our consumers? Well, it doesn't make sense until you consider a couple of things. First, Dylan Mulvaney is not even pretending just to be a woman. He's a biological man, but he's not even pretending to be a woman. He's pretending to be a little girl. And so this becomes really, really nefarious, but it also earns the Anheuser-Busch company more woke points. There's an actual system in the Human Rights Campaign, and you can go to their website and you can see the corporate ESG scoring system that provides for what's called DEI, or diversity, equity, inclusion, for corporate environmental, social justice, essentially, that is trying on purpose to score these companies based annually on their performative value. So what is the value, actually? Well, nobody really knows. And that's what I think is the most fascinating question here. Why would big corporations like Anheuser-Busch, or like, all of the airlines that participate in this, or all of these brands that you and I know and love, or, are starting to kind of hate a little bit, that they willingly sign up for the Human Rights Campaign ESG, or woke score, this index? And it's a score that will tell you how you're doing in terms of wokeness as a corporation. What's the benefit of that actually to the company? That's the really important question. But so many corporations want to have the status of getting a perfect score, so they're increasing and upping their game to please the Human Rights Campaign annually. So when you think about this, Bud Light is saying, okay, how can we up our human rights score and this DEI index score? And they're thinking, okay, we'll have a guy who is not even pretending to be a woman, but a little girl, which is even probably more points on this scale. We'll go ahead and slap his image onto our beer cans, hoping that our consumer base just laughs it off, or they say, well, whatever, this is the new, rainbow pride logo thing, and we'll just ignore it. We'll continue to drink our beer. So it shows to me that these companies like Bud Light are valuing their diversity, equity, and inclusion index score higher than they are their own consumer base. So whatever value they're getting from this human rights campaign scoring system, they are either valuing that more than they are their actual consumer base and their bottom line, or they think, and I think this is really what they think that you and I won't care and that we won't actually affect their bottom line. That to me is the more likely theory. They didn't expect this backlash. They expected to be able to put Dylan Mulvaney on a Bud Light can and everything's fine. A few people complain about it. Maybe somebody like me who doesn't drink beer at all says, oh, we'll complain about that on my podcast. We'll encourage a few people, but I'm not really going to affect their bottom line because I didn't buy their product anyway, right? So they're thinking this is a good trade-off and we can up our score and without really affecting our bottom line. But suddenly, this huge backlash happens. And this is only since April 1st. Ironically, it was April Fool's Day that this campaign happened. So a lot of us were like, is this actually even a thing? Because this is April Fool's and it seems incredibly stupid. But yes, it was actually a thing. So this has only been going on for about 2.5 weeks. They are already seeing impacts to their bottom line. And this boycott is actually being effective. So then why would someone, for example, who has I'm assuming has a lot of street cred and has a lot of friends that are in the consumer base of what Bud Light caters to, someone like Donald Trump Jr., go out on his podcast and say this? Listen to this.
This is one like we're dunking on them now, but when you actually look into it, they'd be one of the more conservative-leaning companies in America. So they've been put on notice. I'm leaving them alone. I think you should probably do the same.
So Don Jr. has been receiving a ton of backlash for this, and I think rightly so. He's not receiving backlash from some people who are very afraid to go against the Trump family or the Trump campaign on anything because they want to support his father, Donald Trump, in the 2024 reelection, which my position on this is fine, support Trump, do that. I love and support the Trump family. However, call out the truth where you see it. And this is not okay to say, hey, let's back off, this corporation because they're mostly conservative. And, who knows what other motivations there are. There was a piece in the Daily Beast that came out that said that the GOP apparatus, the NRSCC, is actually backing off of this boycott and is refusing to put out any statements against this because Bud Light and their parent company are huge donors to the GOP. So could that potentially be a reason? I don't know. I haven't asked Donald Trump Jr. I hope he clarifies what his motivation was for this. But that's what a lot of people are suspecting, that because they're a big donor to the GOP, now suddenly a lot of these big GOP figures are saying, hey, let's back off of the boycott. Well, no, this is the moment where you stick it to them and you say, listen, we don't need your money. We are principled over everything else. And if you want to support us, then care about actually genuinely what we are about instead of your human rights campaign woke scoring system. That's what I would say to them. And this is where worldview and ideology intersects and absolutely informs politics. And this is why we have to understand where culture is downstream from worldview and ideology, the way that you understand the truth of reality, and not just focus solely on politics. Because if all we were focused on is just winning or losing based on Republican versus Democrat, then all we would care about is saying, okay, let's back off Bud Light because they're a donor, and all we would care about is the money to win. That's not what we should be caring about. But the left is hoping that we will so myopically focus on just what is in the benefit in a very small way to the Republican Party, that we are losing sight of the far bigger picture. That politics, absolutely, as Andrew Breitbart famously said, is downstream from culture. So we have to make sure that we are informed on what the truth is, the truth versus fiction. We will always stand up for truth and be principled. That will inform our worldview, which informs the culture and how the ideology of all of these corporate companies are trying to push us and compel us to buy into the woke agenda. We will say no. And then that will inform our politics, and we will be a principled Republican Party because our worldview is based on truth, not just solely winning. So Ron DeSantis, who is a great governor out of the state of Florida, and also Vivek Ramaswamy, who is a great candidate for president, they both had some things to say about this. And I want you to listen to the difference from what some of these other GOP, the NRSC people are saying and kind of how they're backing off versus standing up firmly for the truth. So this is what Governor DeSantis had to say.
The people also side with us on wanting to see an economy where businesses focus on their core missions rather than indulging in woke political activism. And what you see happening, and look, some of it's annoying, some of it they're virtue signaling, and it is grating. And honestly, I think, what's going on here, you see Bud Light and doing all this stuff. But some of this stuff, I think, is really insidious. When you look at movements like ESG, environment, social governance, what they are trying to do is they're trying to hijack corporate power in order to advance an ideological agenda.
All right, I think that was perfectly stated. Here is what Vivek Ramaswamy had to say on Fox News just this weekend.
We're having some fun. We're having some fun on the campaign trail. I don't think what Bud did was right. I've been severely critical of it in severe terms and in a very serious way. Transgenderism and gender dysphoria is a mental health disorder. We need to speak truth and call that out for what it is and treat it as such. We should not affirm the confusion of kids who are confused. That is not compassionate. That is cruel. And as president, I would ban these gender-affirming surgeries, chemical castration, effectively genital mutilation under the age of 18. So those are serious policies. But we decided to lighten it up a little bit as well and say, you know what, instead of Bud Light, if they're going to make this mistake, we'll get Bud Right. And you know what, this is going to be a bottom-up grassroots movement anyway. We had some fun with it, and you know what, that's part of our grassroots effort here as well.
So a lot of people are very concerned about this, especially parents. So my good friend Seth Weathers put out a really great ad on his social media pushing back against this. And I love, actually above what anybody has said so far, what he has said. And he will join me right after this. But I want you to see and listen to this amazing ad.
America's been drinking beer from a company that doesn't even know which restroom to use. That's why I created Conservative Dad's ultra-right, 100% woke-free beer. As conservatives, we're constantly getting hit in the face, left and right, by the woke mind virus. But the last place we want it is in our beer. If you know which bathroom to use, you know what beer you should be drinking. Stop giving money to woke corporations that hate our values. And to the rest of you woke corporations, stay the away from our kids.
Buy yours online in 42 states at ultrarightbeer.com.
Tastes like freedom.
With inflation, the banking world collapse, and everything that Joe Biden is doing not to protect America, you need to make sure to secure your financial health, especially in retirement. And hey, if you're a millennial like me, that actually is sooner than you think. You need to start now, even if you are a millennial or a Gen Zer, to make sure that your financial health is actually healthy when we get to retirement. And Legacy Precious Metals has a revolutionary new online platform that allows you to invest in gold and silver online in real time. In a few easy steps, you can open an account online, select your metals of choice, and choose to have them stored in a vault or shipped right to your door. You'll have access to a dashboard where you can track your portfolio growth in real time anytime. You'll see transparent pricing on each coin and bar, and this puts you in complete control of your money. The platform is free to sign up for. Visit legacypminvestments.com and open your account and see this new investing platform for yourself. Gold hedges against inflation and against a volatile stock market. A truly diversified portfolio isn't just more stocks and bonds, but different asset classes. This brand new platform allows you to make investments in gold and silver, no matter how small or large, with just a few clicks. Visit legacypm.com to get started. You can download the free investor's guide, and you can also call Legacy PM Investments to talk to a portfolio expert to get expert answers to to customize your personal portfolio. So visit legacypminvestments.com to get started. Tell them that Jenna sent you. So joining me now is my friend Seth Weathers. And Seth, you and I have known each other actually for a while, just on Twitter. And I always love connecting with people actually on the show. And so it's great to finally talk with you. And, you're a conservative dad, and you made this really great commercial that I think really highlights what this is all about in terms of pushing back against these crazy leftist campaigns. So what inspired you to put this out?
I mean, it was really when Bud Light came out. Well, thanks for having me, by the way. But it's really when Bud Light came out with their sponsorship promotion of this Dylan guy and putting that out in front of essentially children. And I know there's some argument with that, but look, this guy does not even pretend to be a woman. He pretends to be a little girl prancing around on TikTok. And who does little girls prancing around on TikTok appeal to? Little girls or freaks. So I think that if this is not a line in the sand for conservatives, there is no line, and we should shut it down and go home and just stop wasting our time. But I think maybe this is the thing that will get, maybe messing with our beer was the line in the sand. And I would be doing this if it was apple juice, if people were as excited and motivated about it. They're not for other items, but they are for beer. And so I'm hoping that this is the thing that conservatives will stick to. We can't boycott everything. Half of the items in my home are made from communist China. I understand that, but we have to send a message. And until we send a message, we have no value in the economy as conservatives. The Democrats have it all. And they can get people shut down, fired, sent home, whatever, at the stroke of a scream in the street or burning buildings. We need to have true economic power by standing up and saying, that's it. We will never buy Anheuser-Busch again. We're half of the economy. We're idiots if we don't get any power. So this is our chance to do it.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree with you that you vote with your dollars. And I've supported reverse boycotts in the sense that I'm willing to donate to and buy and purchase products that are from companies and causes and things that I do agree with, to support them. So it's not just about removing our consumer base from the marketplace. It's also about participating in the stream of commerce on things that are good things. And I actually think that's a really important point, though, that you bring up, Seth, that this person, Dylan Mulvaney, who's a guy, of course, is not just pretending to be a woman. He is pretending to be a little girl. And for conservative dads like you, I mean, with kids, and I'm not sure how old your kids are, but, for kids
6 and 10.
are, okay. So people who have kids who are old enough to be aware of what their family is doing, if they're seeing this kind of imagery on the beer cans that their parents drink, what kind of message does that send to them about normalizing and just putting this into the stream of commerce? I mean, it's the same type of product placement that you would see on a television show, except they're putting it in your own home.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it sends the message, if mom and dad, this is the beer cans that they have at home with a guy pretending to be a little girl, it sends the message that that's okay. And for a lot of people that, your kids are in public school, et cetera, they're going to have other people trying to tell them that these things are okay as well. And when you reinforce that at home, it's a disaster waiting to happen. And we're seeing the result of a lot of those disasters across America right now. So again, it's an opportunity to say, this is the line in the sand. And if this isn't the line in the sand, there is no line. We've lost. And I don't believe we have. And I believe that this is the opportunity to stand up and prove that.
Well, I don't think we've lost, because we're still here talking about it, and we haven't been canceled yet, and we haven't been, taken over by the foreign invaders or the domestic enemies within quite yet. So we do still have a chance and every opportunity to hold the line. So, there was an ad or an article rather that came out from the GOP and the NRSCC that is suggesting that, the GOP is kind of quietly backing off from this because they're donors. My view on this is very clear. I don't care who they're donating to. If they want to donate to the Republican Party because we're standing up for conservative values and for the right thing, have at it. If you want to take your dollars elsewhere, then fine, so will we. But what was your response to things like this? And then also Don Jr., who said on his podcast, they're mostly conservative company, but I'm going to kind of, encourage people to back off of this boycott.
Very disappointed is the best I can do on that. And they're not a kind of conservative company. They're a company, they're a mega corporation that buys off individuals on all sides of the aisle. And yes, they've given a lot to Republicans. That means nothing to me. I think we've seen what kind of a company they are by what they've promoted. They have refused to back off of it. They've just said they're listening and thinking and about hearing Americans and all this nonsense. It means, hey, we're not going to say we disagree with what we did because they're afraid of a leftist backlash. They're not afraid of any backlash from conservatives because we've never had power in the economy. This is our chance to prove that. And so, yes, I'm disappointed with every Republican from Don Jr. on down that is saying, hey, let's lay off these guys. Maybe they're kind of nice. Like maybe they've got, I'm sure the Trump organization probably has contracts with Anheuser-Busch. And so maybe that makes it a little bit difficult, but we have to be willing to accept things that are a little bit difficult if we're going to put ourselves out there in a position of change and leading a movement. And look, I'm a huge fan of the Trumps. I'm a huge fan of Don Jr. I'm hoping that, and I know he's hearing a lot of backlash from this, that it's going to get his attention and he's going to realize, hey, maybe this is the opportunity to stand up and fight this because we need people like that. It would be very helpful to have people like that at the forefront of this saying, never buy Anheuser-Busch again. This is wrong. They've crossed a line. There is no coming back. We have to send a message. So that's my message to people like that. And if you're not standing for this, you're not standing with the average American out there. And so I think that that's something that a lot of the people in DC that have been taking money from Anheuser-Busch, it's a lesson they need to learn as well.
Yeah, really well said. And I think that it's important for, these leaders and some of these political figures like Don Jr. that I know a lot of people who listen to the show love the Trump family. I do too. And, I know Don Jr. and I respect him and yet I disagree with this. And so I'm not going to go along with it and affirm it just because it's coming from someone that otherwise, I think is great. We have to, especially as Christians, stand up and say, this is the right thing. And that's actually what the Bible talks about in terms of exhorting one another in the love of the Lord to say, hey, this isn't the right policy position. Maybe there's some other special interests going on. That's a great point, Seth, that you raised that, maybe the Trump organization has some contracts. I don't know. But that could be, where, or just friends in the organization or whatever, that there are other reasons that people don't stand up for the truth because they either have contracts or there's money involved, or there are a lot of other motivations where people can back off and say, I'm not going to hold the line. But if we do that, we're never going to be world changers. And I feel like the Democrats are the ones out there who actually want to change the world for the worse. And they're succeeding. They're putting this guy who is dressed up as a little girl on a can, shoving it into our homes. And we're too afraid, to go against Don Jr. because we're concerned he's offended. Like, that's not okay.
Yeah. And I think he's had a lot of backlash. Everything I've seen, he's received backlash on that. And I think that maybe that's going to give him the opportunity to reconsider and understand the seriousness of this moment. Again, we can't boycott everything. We're not in a position to do so as conservatives. We wouldn't be able to function in society. We'd have to shut down our cell phones and our internet service and every single thing else, and we wouldn't be able to communicate with each other. I am aware of that. I get a lot of people saying like, oh, you're being a hypocrite. Look, I found a photo of your child wearing a Nike hoodie. Okay. Fully well aware of this. But again, we've got a movement of people that are truly very angry and upset about this, and they're actually going through with the boycott. So it could have been apple juice, whatever it was that got people excited. In this case, it's their beer. And so I think that that's why we need to continue on with this and make this the example company, because until we do that, we have no capital in the economy as conservatives, and we've got to develop some. And it's following through on one of these things that will develop it. It's not skipping 2 or 3 football games and then forgetting about it and going and showing back up, because that we have no capital with the NFL now. They know they can continue shoving down BS and halftime shows and everything else. And conservatives are going to go along and say, oh, well, here I am. I can't say the words I want to say right now, Jenna, especially on your show. So the long and short of it is we have to stand strong and stop being pansies.
Yes. Well said and well put. And I think we can all guess what you wanted to say. And I echo at least the feeling there, and the mindset behind it of recognizing that we have to stand up. We have to finally just say, this is our country, and these woke corporations
it's
have
wrong. It's good versus evil. And I don't like to throw that word around, but it's truly good versus evil. When you're condoning chopping genitals off children, you are on the side of evil. There is no middle ground. And this country we're in right now has largely been condoning some of the most horrific evil that we will hopefully one day look back on history that we've allowed right now. And when you allow, again, the genital mutilation of children, you're really on the wrong side of history.
Yeah, it's so disturbing that we're even having these conversations, that there are two, parallel realities. I mean, there's only the actual reality, and then there's this fabricated version that the leftists want to compel us to participate in. It's not even just an invitation or tolerate us with our fantasies. This is now compelled participation when they're putting things like this on beer cans. And we can now say, no, we're not going to participate. And that's what the boycott is all about, so that they don't continue to do more things and escalate this. And ultimately their agenda is to force us to participate in this ideology that is completely antithetical to reality. And they believe that they're the god of their own reality, and that they can force us to participate in it. So this is a line that we need to draw. It is good versus evil, not only because when you're actively promoting to mutilate the bodies of children, that's horrific. That's beyond horrific. And it comes from a place of an ideology that is patently and fundamentally against truth. And so we need to be those standard bearers. And, Seth, I'm just interested in the last few minutes that I have with you here too, as we're talking about this, having kids, and I don't have kids yet, but how do you have these conversations with your own kids? Because I'm sure that, as they go to school, or they have, they participate in their friend communities and other things. I mean, I can imagine my nephews who are young, who are going to have to engage with some of these ideologies much younger than I did, much younger than you did, because we're now in a very different world. How do you as a parent have those conversations?
It's pretty difficult because we've gone into such a insane land with all this. But again, my children are 6 and 10. And at this point, obviously, I'm doing my best to insulate them from these things and avoid having those conversations as long as possible until they get older. And so with a 6-year-old, there's not a whole lot of conversation about genital mutilation that you can really explain. And that's even a very difficult conversation to have with a 10-year-old. Fortunately, I have not had to have that yet. I think the area where I live, among other things, is what prevents that from happening. That conversation from happening. But I have thought about that a lot, and I know that those are conversations I'm going to have in the future. But one thing I do know that I can do is just showing them an example of, we are going to live in what is truth. We don't play in fantasy land. We don't live in nonsense world. And I think that maybe sets the standard for what's going to happen when those conversations are broached.
Yeah, that's really wise. Just continue to tell the truth, because kids know the truth and they want to hear it. And we need to rightly divide truth from error and good versus evil. So Seth Weathers, really appreciate you standing up for this, standing up for the truth. You do it every day on social media. And so everyone should follow you on social media at Seth Weathers. And is there an underscore or anything, or what's your handle?
No, it's just Seth at Seth Weathers. I have a feeling I'll last on Twitter. We'll see how I last on other places, because I'm getting a lot of hate these days.
Oh, I hear you. I've been dealing with a little bit of that myself, but you got to be principled and you got to stand for truth. And the haters can hate, but that only shows that we are over the target and that we're not missing the mark, because these things have to be stood up for. So continue to speak truth with courage, and really appreciate you and your efforts here. So thanks.
Thanks for having me.
During this period of record high inflation, big box stores have stayed open the whole time, while many small business owners have been forced to close. The wealthiest people in human history became wealthier, while mom and pop suffered. I don't really feel good about that. Do you? I would rather support small businesses, shop smaller, local, family-owned, and made in America. So what if a lot of us across the nation banded together and switched our shopping away from big box stores? How we spend our dollars could be our most important vote. Do those stores support freedom and American values? Is that where we should be buying the things we need for the rest of our lives? What if we just stopped giving them our money? What if we shopped with a family-owned manufacturer that believes in preserving our freedoms? Well, this is why, friends, I'm excited about patriotsareswitching.com. Patriotsareswitching.com gives patriots the ability to walk away from the big box stores forever. Why would we expect positive change in the world when tens of millions of us do what we've always done? This is a chance for us to join together and make a huge difference. Patriotsareswitching.com is a movement that pledges allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. So to learn more about how to vote with your dollars, go to patriotsareswitching.com.
With inflation, the banking world collapse, and everything that Joe Biden is doing not to protect America, you need to make sure to secure your financial health, especially in retirement. And hey, if you're a millennial like me, that actually is sooner than you think. You need to start now, even if you are a millennial or a Gen Zer, to make sure that your financial health is actually healthy when we get to retirement. And Legacy Precious Metals has a revolutionary new online platform that allows you to invest in gold and silver online in real time. In a few easy steps, you can open an account online, select your metals of choice, and choose to have them stored in a vault or shipped right to your door. You'll have access to a dashboard where you can track your portfolio growth in real time anytime. You'll see transparent pricing on each coin and bar, and this puts you in complete control of your money. The platform is free to sign up for. Visit legacypminvestments.com and open your account and see this new investing platform for yourself. Gold hedges against inflation and against a volatile stock market. A truly diversified portfolio isn't just more stocks and bonds, but different asset classes. This brand new platform allows you to make investments in gold and silver, no matter how small or large, with just a few clicks. Visit legacypm.com to get started. You can download the free investor's guide, and you can also call Legacy PM Investments to talk to a portfolio expert to get expert answers to your to customize your personal portfolio. So visit legacypminvestments.com to get started. Tell them that Jenna sent you.
Have you ever picked up a towel set because it felt so soft in the store, but then when you leave and you go to use it, it's not really that absorbent? It's basically a towel that is leaving you out to dry. That's why MyPillow has developed the MyPillow towels, towels that actually work. I know, it's totally mind-blowing. Towels that actually dry you. Their 6-piece towel set includes 2 bath towels, 2 hand towels, and 2 washcloths. They come in a variety of colors. I have the sage green and the white. I love them. And right now you can receive a 6-piece set for only $39.98 with promo code Jenna. That's JENNA. So go to mypillow.com right now and click on the radio listeners special. MyPillow products come with a 10-year warranty and have a 60-day money-back guarantee. So to receive this amazing offer on the 6-piece towel set of MyPillow towels, just go to mypillow.com, click on the radio listener special, and enter promo code Jenna, that's JENNA, or call 1-800-564-8475. That's mypillow.com, promo code Jenna.